about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
And we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. So it's summer. Right? Everybody's loving the summer. They're loving the heat. They're jumping in the pool. Unfortunately, me as a doctor, I need to remind everybody about drowning risk. Not only for you, but your kids and your pets. You need to be aware. 4,000 people in the U.S. die annually from drownings. 4,000. Thousands of people. I think worldwide, 300,000. You can't let that happen. And so, it's, people always think, well, drowning is where, it's somebody who didn't know how to swim and they fell in the water. We don't let anybody who doesn't know how to swim go into the water. Well, many drownings happen in people that know exactly how to swim. So, we just need to kind of just review this with everybody. According to the CDC, they say 20% of, I think childhood drownings, or 20% of drowning victims are kids under the age of 14. It's a leading cause of death in children as unintentional injuries. Pet drownings, the numbers are estimated to be in the thousands annually. We just adopted a French bulldog, and I've been trying to teach it how to swim. And so we have a little shallow area, and it's been good. It's not that I'm trying to teach it how to swim. I wanted to, paddle to the step. God forbid it falls into the water. My husband did that with all our dogs, which is really good because sometimes the dogs fall into the water. Unfortunately, he's like, okay, well, let me try it. But he put her in the deep end and she, a French bulldog can't paddle. So he had to get around and whatever. So, I work with them in the shallow areas. Only do it if you know what you're doing. But if you don't know what you're doing, don't, but I think it's really important to teach your dogs how to swim and have it professionally done because your dogs fall in. In fact, it was interesting. About a few months ago, I'm working late at night and my dog, the other dog, the one that knows how to swim, runs in, comes up to me, puts her wet nose on my knee, on my leg, and then she runs over and she starts drying off. And I'm like, what's all this water? And I go, did you fall in the pool? So I dry her off, and then I told my husband he saved her life teaching her how to swim. So thank God. But drownings aren't just in the pool; it's also the bathtub, little kiddie pools. Drownings can happen in any body of water. So why? Well, because we're, outdoors and we're outdoors more and we're using water to cool off. I don't blame people. So first and foremost, if there is a pool, whether it's yours or a family member's or your kid is going over for a sleepover or, they're at a friend's apartment, always inspect the pool and the fence. Because if the fence isn't closed and the fence isn't 4 to 5 feet high, your child could unfortunately get in when they shouldn't be. All entry gates should have a self-close and self-latch. You don't want one that's just open or for them to very easily push. If your pool does have a fence, be aware that that other people might not be as diligent about watching your kid. So when your kid goes over to another kid's house and there's a pool. In fact, I remember when I was really little, I never saw a pool before, because my parents didn't have one. And I mean, I kind of knew what a pool was, but I went to a friend's house in California. I was and there was, I guess, a covering. And so I was catching a ball and I decided to run across the backyard. And the pool cover was a dark color. I didn't think it was a pool. I was a stupid kid. So I run and I fall in the pool. I didn't know how to swim. Now, they pull me out, but I was like, where's the ground? And they were like, you didn't know that this wasn't, there was no gate, nothing. Yeah, I mean, this was in the 70s, late 70s. I was a little stupid kid. And I, maybe it was mid 70s, come to think of it, but I just ran across a pool thinking that the pool cover was solid. Remember, kids are dumb. Okay, all right. I was a dumb kid. I could have drowned. Thank God somebody, because I didn't learn how to swim till I was 6 years old, and so this must have happened when I was 4 or 5 years old, and so which is another thing. You want to teach your kids how to swim. Kiddie pools or ice buckets used for drinks, dump those out. Coolers, dump them out, flip them over so they can't become a threat. If your kid is swimming, don't be sitting having a beer 25 feet away. You need to be in the pool, or at least right there on the edge, ready to get wet. Take off any tech, get rid of the iPhone. You are going to have to jump into the pool. You need to be arm distance of your kids. You don't want to lose sight. Seconds matter. If they submerge, your kid might panic. The kid might aspirate water, and then there could be secondary drowning and dry drowning issues that we need to talk about. So you want to make sure that you're there. Don't let the child submerge. Pets, don't have them around the pool. Especially don't have the pet swim with the kid. Because if the pet gets nervous, the pet could pull down the kid or scratch the kid. So no pets and kids swimming at the same time. No. Make sure your kid learns how to swim. Your pet learns how to swim. Don't be distracted. Put down the phones. Tell people to shut the hell up. Don't be drinking alcohol. You should not be drinking alcohol if your kid is in the pool. Because you need to be able to save them. God forbid. Or save anybody else. So no, I don't care. I know it's 4th of July coming up, but no. All right. Drowning is silent. You know, we always kind of expect, like with Jaws, the dun 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 dun, like there'll be some music. You never hear when a shark is coming up to you. You never hear when somebody's drowning. It's quiet. I was in a pool, an indoor pool in Omaha, and we were only in like an inch of water. And I guess I was with my nephew, and my nephew is splashing and happy and giggling. And I look, after a split second, he's on his stomach, splashing and giggling, but his head is basically, the mouth part is underwater. I was like, what are you doing? And he's laughing and giggling, but I'm like, you could be drowning. No, don't do that. Bad boy. Learn CPR. Very, very important. Dry drowning is where water touches the respiratory tree, causes laryngospasm, and then you could, water never hits the lungs, but you could still become hypoxic. Secondary drowning is where water gets into the lungs, and then a few days later causes edema. So we'll talk more about that later, but be careful. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So I got to clean my car. I got to clean out the car. I got to go shopping. I got to clean out the refrigerator again. It's due. I got to do some laundry. I have to wrap baby shower gifts. I have all this stuff I have to do. And I just keep procrastinating and putting it off. I have to renew one of my medical licenses. I have to do some CME. There's all this stuff I need to do. And I need to respond to a court, what's it called? Jury duty. I need to respond to jury duty. There's all these things I need to do. And I just don't want to do them. I'm not depressed. I'm not tired. I'm just unmotivated. Yeah, I'm not motivated. I got all this stuff just to do, and I don't want to get my ass up and do it. And it's not like there's anything, pressing. I mean, yeah, I'm working and I do a lot of stuff, but I feel like I really don't want to clean out my car. And I know there's some people that hire people and pay people for that. No, I don't do that. I got to buy more cat food. I got to go to Walmart. I don't want to go to Walmart. I hate shopping. I can't stand shopping. I need to buy a dress. Oh, that I think really did it. I have to buy a dress. I got nominated for this Best Influencer Award, Silver State Awards. I'm really, really honored. I just found out about it yesterday. So now I got to buy a dress for the award ceremony. I hate shopping. I mean, I'm really honored that I got nominated, but I don't like I don't like clothes shopping. I can't stand clothes shopping. Can't stand it. So, I'm not the only one that feels this way. Okay. We have a pandemic of lack of motivation, and it got worse after COVID. See, you used to have to get your ass up, get dressed, get in the car, go to work, or jump on the train, take the bus, get to work, do what you had to do at work, and then go home. Once we had the option of, we could roll out of bed and go to our computer. We don't have to necessarily get up and go to work. It changed. So a lot of individuals who and we talked about this, how do you get yourself to go back to work if remote work is being canceled? Now that we're 5-6 years away from the COVID lockdown and pandemic. We talked about this last year, so we're at the 5-year mark. Now we're at the 6-year mark. And I told you guys how to do it. You're going to have to retrain your body to get out of the house, to move and do things. And, when I look back at all the stuff I did when I was younger, I remember I needed a new radio for my truck. And so I installed it myself. I learned how to do it. One of my buddies taught me how to do it. And I did it. I needed to change the oil. You got it done. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. My car is telling me to change my engine oil soon. It's been telling me to do that for a week. I don't have time. Yeah, because I got to fly to New York later this week. I just got so much going on. I just don't. And I have the time to do it. I know I have to do some errands today and go grocery shopping and things like that. But I mean, but it's like when I look at all the stuff I have to do, no, I'm just going to put it off. I'm going to put it off. And so nobody's really talking about that. How do you get yourself motivated again? Now, what used to work for me was there was always a time crunch. People ask, how did I wait tables in medical school? How did you have the time? Actually, my grades went up. There was a very short period of time where I didn't work. I go to medical school, and it was the first time in 4 years that I wasn't going to work because I'm in medical school. And my very first test score was a biochem test, and I got a D on it. And I'm like, a D? I aced biochem in undergrad. How would I get a D? So I would go to the professor, always go to the professor. I'm like, look, what am I doing wrong? He's like, well, maybe it's all those stupid jokes you're saying in the back of the class. I go, no, because I've always done that. And I've gotten A's. I've made stupid jokes my whole life. It can't be that. So we're kind of head scratching. And he goes, what else is different? What are you doing different? I go, I'm not working. I used to always work. Now, he didn't tell me to go work, so I go get a job because I needed to pay off my truck and give, my brother money for college and things like that. So trust me, we needed the money, but I thought that I couldn't work because I had to study. And so I would get off my shift at 11 p.m. and then I would study for a few hours. Next day, you had to be in class 7, 8 in the morning. I aced my biochem test the next time around. So I guess for me, I needed that time crunch. I needed that pressure. And so I noticed that's what a lot of people are doing. And it's not the best way to go. So many individuals, I even see this with some of my family members. I'm like, did you do X, Y, and Z yet? Like, no, I don't have to do that till tomorrow, 5 p.m. And I'm like, well, you knew about this for 2 weeks. Tomorrow, 5 p.m., you're going to have a busy day. You're going to, trust me, I'll get it done because I'm going to panic and stress. And I'm like, no, never put off tomorrow what you could do today. And so we need to retrain ourselves with our thinking. Relying on that stress and that time crunch is not healthy. It is healthier for you to get the task done and then kick back and go, whew, all right, I could just relax and breeze through the rest of the day. So my recommendation is let's look at different ways to get things done. First and foremost, get a buddy. Okay, there's a chance that maybe, you're doing too much. Maybe you have too much to do. I got to do the groceries, got to clean this, I got to do this, I got to do this. And, you can delegate. So delegate. But if the other person's like, but I'm doing this, and you can't delegate. All right. The next thing then what you do is you go, I need someone to motivate me. Now, sometimes what happens is I get more stuff done when I drag somebody with me. I'm like, look, I just can't get myself to go. And so I get somebody else to go, okay, we'll go dress shopping. We'll go drop off the car. We'll go to Walmart. We'll go get this done. So find a motivating buddy. And keep in mind, that motivating buddy may also need you. Yeah, yes, you have to call them a motivating buddy. You have to use that term. Because I can't think of another term. So if that person's like, well, I got to do some shopping. And you're like, well, I don't want you to call me on Wednesday and I'm bugging you on Thursday. So talk to your buddy and go, even if it's a few buddies, go, hey guys, this is the crap I have to do this week. And I got to get this done. What's the stuff that you have to do? All right. Do you want to go together? Knock it out. Another option I've noticed is I enjoy doing other people's chores, but not mine. My husband has found this very odd. I go to another person's house and I am drawn to their sink and I just want to do their dishes. And I love doing the dishes at other people's houses. Yet at my house, I don't do the dishes. I made my husband do them. Why is that? Well, maybe it's because, the family doesn't clean off the dish when they put it in the sink and they leave hard food on there. I don't know what it is. But that's another thing you could do. You could say, hey, look, okay, I need to get some bandages and things like that. You need this done. Can I do your thing and you do mine? You got Venmo. You could send them the money. There's things you can do. I got to pick this person up and I got to do this. Well, why don't you do this? And then I'll do this. And so if you have, and I got to tell you, it's got to be a buddy. If you have a good motivational buddy, you guys could kind of share some of these things. Another thing you need to do also is make the task smaller. We think of our tasks as insurmountable. Okay, I've got to clean the car. So I got to do the dash. I got to do the center console. I have all these gum wrappers. And then if I have a used piece of gum, I find a receipt, a gas receipt to put it into. But then if I didn't completely close and cover it and it's stuck to the side, I got gum stuck to the side. And then you're like, okay, and then, I spilled the Diet Coke and you're looking at, okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to clean the dash today. I'm just going to clean the dash. Okay. Tomorrow I'm going to clean the console. Another thing you could do is you could pay your kid to do it. You could pay somebody to do it. You got to mow the lawn. All right. I will pay you to mow the lawn. Then you feel like you really accomplished something because you delegated it. But we have things in life that we have to do that we don't want to do. And we got to find better ways to do it. Another thing that I recommend is rewards. Okay? Let's say you really want to go out for ice cream, or you want to go to happy hour, and you're really, really excited. You can't go until you finish one of those tasks. And the incentive is you're going to be worried about it when you're out, but you'll feel so much better when it's done. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Dr. Dolly Show, 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So making headlines, and this is ridiculous, is this COVID vaccine study that they are saying RFK Jr. and HHS and the CDC tried to block. And apparently the study came out in a different journal. And I mean, this is, I hate to see science and manipulation and, the process of reviewing studies compromised. But what we're being told by NBC News is that the study that showed COVID vaccines reduced the likelihood of severe illness by about half among adults last fall and winter was originally scheduled to be released in March in the CDC's scientific flagship publication, their Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, the MMWR. Instead, the CDC wanted to wait and review it. I guess they were concerned about how the study, to see if there were any study limitations, which is completely in their purview. And they should do that. Well, instead, it was published in JAMA Network Open, which is a peer-reviewed journal from the American Medical Association. And as you know, the American Medical Association is not aligned with this administration. And acting director of the CDC, Jay Bhattacharya, raised concerns about the paper's methodology. And so which is a concern, how were the methods? How did it, how did it play out? How did it, did they do a proper sample size? So for example, when a study could have issues is, let's say you have 10 people that are being studied for having, let's say, to see if a medication works, like an antibiotic. And so you have 10 people who have a cough and a cold, and they take an antibiotic, and 5 people get better and 5 people don't. And so somebody says, well, those 5 people that didn't, it's because the antibiotic didn't work. But what was your methodology? What if they didn't have a bacterial infection? What if their cough was from something else? Now I know that that's in a very basic, nobody should be that obtuse when they do a study, missing out on something like that. But just because not everybody improved with the antibiotic doesn't mean the antibiotic didn't work. It meant there could have been some other factors. Let's say you have 10 people with bacterial pneumonia, and all 10 people take an antibiotic, and 5 don't get better. Now they might say, well, you see, they all have the same bacterial pneumonia. The antibiotic should have worked. Okay, but wait a second. Okay, what are some other factors? Do the 5 people that didn't get better have diabetes? What was it better? Did they actually prove that they had pneumonia still? Or is it that they still had a post-inflammatory cough? So you see, when you get a piece of data, you need to kind of take a look and go, but wait a second here. Why weren't they better? What are we looking at? Or why did the other 5 get better? Was it truly the antibiotic? How did you diagnose the bacterial pneumonia? Was it that you're comparing somebody who had bacterial pneumonia in bilateral lobes rather than just one lobe? Is it that one was the right middle lobe to the? I mean, so you see how you need to really look at each piece to see and to validate the study. And this happens all the time. Every time I've published, any of my papers has gone through such a rigorous review, and they get through. But that's because I make sure my methodology is airtight. Acting Director Jay Bhattacharya was concerned about the paper's methodology. So Bhattacharya said the issue was the study's test negative design, approach that compares the vaccine status of people who test positive for the disease COVID to the vaccination status of people who test negative. According to NBC News, the paper looked at adults who visited a hospital or urgent care with symptoms consistent of COVID across 7 states from September to December last year. So we're just talking this last season. The group studied was tested for COVID around the time of their medical visit. Among those who tested positive and those who tested negative, the researchers calculated that the odds of having received a 2025-2026 formulation of the COVID vaccine, and they found that the vaccine lowered the odds of a COVID-related visit to the ER urgent care by 50% and of hospitalization for COVID by 55%. So when I look at this, and I haven't been able to dissect the study, but if they're saying people tested negative for COVID, the first thing that comes to my mind is, were the people who tested negative not exposed? If you're going to be looking at the efficacy of a vaccine, and I actually do believe that the COVID vaccine does help mitigate hospitalizations and morbidity and mortality. And I wouldn't be surprised if these numbers are correct. But we have to call it like it is. If the study is flawed, you can't publish it. And so a question I have, and again, I'd like to see the methodology, is if you're telling me that we noticed fewer people come to the ER, and in vaccinated people, fewer of them had COVID, that's significant. But my next question is, well, who got the COVID? Were they exposed more? Were they at concerts? Did they go to, Super Bowl? The Super Bowl wasn't then at the time, but no World Cup. But I mean, were they among crowds? What was their health status? Now, all I could tell you with me is when I did get the booster, I will never get another booster because I had side effects from it. But that year I got the booster, I didn't get COVID. So I actually think it works, but that's not a scientific study. That's not enough to get published. So among those who tested positive and those who tested negative, the researchers calculated the odds of having received a 2025-2026 formulation of the COVID vaccine, and found that if you had the vaccine, it lowered your odds of a COVID-related visit to the ER or urgent care by 50% and hospitalization for COVID by 55%. Nice study, but then the next question I have is, did some people not have to go to an ER or urgent care because they had steroids at home? They had access to Paxlovid? Somebody going to an urgent care, to me, is not scientifically sound because there's so many people that don't go to the urgent care. Now, where that matters is if somebody is really, really sick with COVID, you can't, you're going to eventually end up in an ER or urgent care. But how many people went to the urgent care, ended up being fine, and then how many people didn't go to the urgent care? So they weren't counted. I can't tell you how many people use telemedicine for their COVID diagnosis. And we did see people test positive for COVID, and I always ask them, did you get a COVID vaccine? About 20% of them did have the COVID vaccine and still got COVID. But I can't use that data to figure out how many people didn't get COVID from the vaccine. So if Jay Bhattacharya is looking at this going, but just because somebody showed up to an urgent care, how do we know who didn't go to an urgent care? If they had mild COVID and stayed home, then there is an issue with the methodology. And then if that's the case, the CDC is right to not necessarily publish it. Now, what we do in studies is list the limitations. It's at the end. But that's not what the media covers. The media covers the headlines, going, guys, you got to get the vaccine because this is what happened. And so right now, the big push from public health officials is to get vaccinated, even if COVID isn't as big a threat as it was 5-6 years ago. As a doctor, I could say, look, I've seen some bad COVID. Still, COVID is still putting people in the hospital. So if you and your doctor think it's a wise choice for you to get vaccinated, then you do it. But if you and your doctor don't want to go with that, it's up to you guys. It's a personal choice thing. Nobody should mandate. And so, it's an interesting study, and I hope the data's true. It's nice. That's nice to know. But if there's methodology and issues with the study, no. You have to, call it like it is and say, we need a better study. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Hi, everyone. Dr. Dahlia here. Thousands of physicians, residents, nurses, and medical students are silently dealing with depression. And tragically, 400 take their lives each year. 400! I wrote The Depressed Doctor, hoping to reach out to anyone struggling. You're not alone. Don't stay silent. The Depressed Doctor can be found on Amazon, or the book can be found on drdahlia.com. And if you or anyone you know needs help, call or text 988, the National Suicide and Crisis Hotline.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Show 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. I am not ready for some of these cars that just kind of are automated. Unfortunately, there is a federal probe that Tesla is facing after a Model 3 slams into a Texas home and kills a 76-year-old. We are being told that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, according to CNBC, has opened a special crash investigation into Tesla, where a Model 3 slammed into a home in Katy, Texas, killing 76-year-old Martha Avila. Harris County authorities said the driver, Michael Butler, was cooperating with their investigation on the scene and said he was using Tesla's partially automated driving systems when his vehicle barreled out of its lane and into the home of the Houston suburb. Now, CEO Elon Musk of Tesla said that makes no sense. He said the FSD drives slowly through neighborhood streets, and this was a high-speed crash. And, so you do also wonder, did the person who got into the accident blame the car? Well, the house moved. So he said that his automated driving systems don't do that. But Tesla does warn drivers in their Model 3 owner's manual that full self-driving supervised requires you to pay attention to the road and be ready to take over at all times. Now, there could be a chance that the driver said he couldn't control the vehicle. And if that's a concern, and we need to know about it. And Tesla cars, we do need to investigate and make sure this doesn't happen again. But according to Tesla Vice President of Autopilot, Ashok Eluswamy, said in this case, the driver manually overrode self-driving by pressing the accelerator all the way to 100% of the accel pedal in this residential area. They reached a speed of 73 miles per hour during the crash and had the accelerator pressed even after the crash. Now, right now, the driver's claim and the executive, he said, she said, that did he pass out and did his foot go on the accelerator? Did the Tesla take control of the accelerator? See, that's my biggest fear. You give automation control of something, they're going to take control, and then you can't uncontrol it. I just worry about that. So I don't know who to believe right now. They say the federal vehicle safety regulator has opened more than 36 Tesla special crash investigations involving the company's advanced driver assistance systems or partially automated driving systems since 2016, when these became a part of the EV maker's new vehicles, according to CNBC. The standard option was previously marketed under the name Autopilot. But then they changed it because the California Department of Motor Vehicles put pressure. Legally, a California court and the state's DMV found that Tesla had falsely engaged in false advertising around its Autopilot systems, potentially confusing customers about its limitations. And then a May incident in Claremont, California, saw a Tesla crash through a house. 6 people were injured when a Tesla struck another vehicle and slammed into the home. That's according to NBC7 San Diego. Now, witnesses told CBS News 8 that the driver said they were using the Autopilot at the time of the crash. So there is a website called TeslaDeaths.com. And it's an independent site that tracks Tesla-involved collisions using news reports, police records, and federal data. Now, they claim there has been 65 fatalities resulting from crashes where Tesla Autopilot or FSD branded systems have been mentioned as a factor from 2013 to 2025. And also I get that, people are anti-Elon Musk, and we got to be very, very careful that they're not just investigating and trying to go after Tesla, because look at what people did, going after Tesla dealerships and vandalizing cars. But on the other end, my issue, I haven't necessarily, researched the issues with the Autopilot, but with the electric batteries, I'm nervous. And I don't like the idea of a lithium battery in the car. They're very, very hard to douse, put out, unstable, hitting a tree could ignite it. Now, true, fuel-injected cars could, catch fire as well. But these electric battery fires are so fast that people don't have time to get out of the car. That's some scary, scary stuff. Now, in terms of Autopilot, Waymo, there is an urgent recall for 3,900 robo-taxis. Apparently, their parent company, Alphabet, has issued an urgent recall of nearly 4,000 robo-taxis after a software flaw sent self-driving vehicles straight into active highway construction zones. According to documents filed with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, more than a dozen incidents were recorded in California and Arizona since early April. Now, that's only a couple months ago. Waymo vehicles failed to recognize highway ramp closure signs. Okay, that's bad. As a result, the self-driving cars proceeded straight into construction areas and lanes where construction was underway. Now, this is being reported by Daily Mail. The company temporarily restricted highway driving for its robotaxis while engineers worked on a fix. Yeah, but see where I live in Southern Nevada, it's orange cones everywhere. I mean, every lane ends up being there's construction all over the place. So I would even be worried about driving this just around where I live. And so they said we identified an area of improvement. We voluntarily restricted freeway operations last month while making improvements. Now, Waymo has launched, from what we are being told from Daily Mail, a string of recalls over the past 2 years, including over concerns about how the cars detect poles and other objects along the road. Waymo recalled weeks prior 3,800 robotaxis because they would enter flooded roads. There was an incident on April 20th in San Antonio where a Waymo vehicle without any passengers drove into a flooded lane during severe weather. Thank God no injuries were reported. But you don't want an electric vehicle, right, if it has a lithium battery on it, to go into flooded water. It makes the battery unstable, not to mention you don't want a human in there as well, going into flooded water. They say separately, the National Transportation Safety Board was investigating incidents where Waymo vehicles illegally passed stopped school buses that were displaying flashing warning lights. Can you imagine? Now, the school bus issue had already triggered a separate recall by the company in December. And that has already, had prompted concerns. Wait a second, if your kids are crossing the street. So, for those of you that don't, forget your driver's ed rules, when there's a bus, even if it's 3-4 lanes away, if there's a stop sign coming off that bus, you need to stop. I see people not do that. On my way to work, although not now because the schools are closed, but when schools are in session, I always watch for the bus because I know the bus that might be 3 lanes away from me because we have really wide roads in Las Vegas, Nevada, that bus can put out their little stop sign. And I'm seeing cars just drive because they're in the left lane. No, the whole street, both sides of traffic have to stop. Because a kid may be crossing the street to get to the bus. That's why buses have the authority to put a stop sign out. So humans don't know to stop. So my guess is whoever was programming Waymo was like, oh, you mean even in the left lane, even opposing traffic have to stop? Yes, opposing traffic has to stop. They say Waymo claims its autonomous driving system has now logged 127 million driverless miles and reduced serious injury crashes by 90% compared to human drivers. That could be true, but I'm just not ready. I'm just not. They say the company provides more than 400,000 paid robo-taxi rides every week, and they have these ride-hailing services in Phoenix, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Miami, and Orlando. So I guess it's kind of, you could even through Uber get them in Atlanta and Austin, where you don't have a driver. Do you still have to tip if you do a Waymo? I bet it asks for tips. Huh. Because I was going to say, who would want to do that? But if you don't have to tip the driver, you're saving some money. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA1. That's 800-JBS-USA1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA1 today.